Division. Division is the one that gives us all problems, especially when it comes to plant life. Many people hear the word division and they get scared that, oh no, I have to do division again? I thought I was out of elementary school or middle school or high school or whatever school. Anyways, division in plants can be actually very beneficial for your plants for multiple reasons. The idea behind division is that oftentimes or sometimes certain plants will outgrow the container that they're living in or the space in the ground that they're living in, and by dividing them, you can make them happier by giving them more room to be at peace, more room to create better growth, and oftentimes that will mean more plant life, just generally speaking, more plant life for you to enjoy, and that also means more flowers, more foliage, more beauty, blah, 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 all the great things that we love about plants. Now, when it comes to division, there's a few rules of thumb that you want to keep in mind. When we're talking about dividing plants, you need to have a couple things in mind. So here I have this beautiful daylily. This is actually not a very beautiful daylily. It's looking a little bit limp. I think perhaps it has outgrown its container. So by dividing this, I will make it happier by giving each of these little sections a little bit more room to play in and a little bit more room to grow in. So does that mean I can divide all plants? No, not necessarily. The type of plants that you can divide are plants where they have multiple points that are growing out of the surface of the ground, and each of those points has the ability to produce roots into the ground. So when it comes to dividing, you need to ensure two things: that each section of divided plant material has something to grow up, and it has a way to produce roots down. And daylily is the perfect candidate because, as you can see, it looks like it's already ready and willing to be separated into all of these different beautiful little clumps. You see that? Okay, so how do we divide? So when we divide our plants, you can imagine that's going to induce a lot of extra stress. We don't want stress. There's no stress pills for your plants like we have in our modern day life. Well, actually there is kind of one. And I'm about to show you what that little medication is. That medication involves taking your scissors, taking your shears, always use sharp, and cut all of the foliage off before you divide your plants. The reason is because when you plant newly divided plants, you want the roots to be able to meld into their new situation as easily as possible. Now, we all know that roots are what provide the foliage with water so that the foliage can undergo photosynthesis and grow. So by eliminating the foliage, the roots don't have to be extra stressed out by providing water to that foliage. Instead, the roots will spend all of their energy creating a new situation for themselves, which will allow them to be happier and much more at peace in their new surroundings. Okay, so step one, I did that. Now, step two, we gotta take this baby out of the pot. All right, you see this? This is a beautiful clump of daylilies. I could legitimately take my knife and cut every single one of these into new individual plants. Okay, take my knife. Now you could just as easily have dug this up right out of the earth in your garden bed, and it would be the same process. See, these are growth points. So this is step one, it needs to have somewhere to grow up. Step two, you can see that there are roots right here, so I can just take my hands. Now I have two new babies. I could even go and do this one more time. Now I have even more babies, and I can continue to do that and then replant this. So now once you have one of your divided pieces, you get a fresh new pot. You find a new spot in the garden that's been looking empty, somewhere where you want to put more of that daylily love. Well, I have this beautiful little pot right here. I will nestle it in. Remember, those two steps, There's roots, somewhere for roots to grow, and something to grow upwards. Those are the two rules of thumb when it comes to dividing plants. I got it like this. Give it more soil, and you give it some water. And I just planted a brand new daylily. How fun is that? Now, instead of going through and doing a little bit more dividing, I'll show you guys a couple more plants that are great candidates for dividing. Viola, perfect candidate. Okay, let me do this real quick. I'm gonna cut this back just like I said. Remember, I love to cut all of the foliage off because this will help your newly divided plants settle into their new homes much more quickly. I'm doing this very fast. I've cut myself doing this in the past, so make sure you're doing it either with gloves on or you're just being very careful when you're doing it. So you see, it kind of looks like there's all of these different areas. Another method, you can just take a knife, cut directly into this baby. I like growing in these kind of bulb trays because it's easily, I can easily make it into I can make this into a 4-piece pie. So now I just have this, and I can repot this. I just made a whole new viola. How amazing is that? Calla lilies. This is one of the easiest plants to divide. When you have growth like this, calla lilies are such an incredible grower. I don't even cut the foliage back. The more that you practice dividing plants, the better you will start to recognize which plants will benefit from having their foliage cut back and which ones don't really care. But you see how beautiful this is? I will take my knife and I will just cut it into sections just like this, and I can replant this, and that is beautiful, a whole new calla lily plant. Now let me show you guys one that is a good example of something that you don't want to divide, because there will not be any points for multiple growth. You see this lemon plant? It has a single stem, so there's no way that I can kind of cut through and create 2 plants out of this. This is a plant that you don't want to divide. Moral of the story is that when it comes to dividing, look for your plants in the garden or in your containers that look like maybe they need a little bit refresher. Maybe they stopped flowering as prolifically over the last couple of years as they used to a few years ago. Maybe that means they're ready to be divided so that they can enjoy a new home, some new areas for growth. And when you're dividing, keep those 2 rules of thumb. Part of the division needs to have somewhere for roots to grow out of and something for growth to come out of above the ground. With those 2 principles in mind, you can start dividing all the plants that have those qualities, increasing the beauty in your garden, increasing the plant life in your garden, and doing it very cost effectively. That's why we love gardening. That's why we love growing plants, because they continue to give you love, and they continue to nurture your soul as you give them love and you continue to nurture them. Anyways, I'm Devin Wallin, and if you like this video, go check out QVC.com, search Grow with Robertas, and you will find the selection of plants featured in this video in case you want to add them to your garden. Anyways, see you later.